Alrighty. Howdy Neighbors and welcome back to the Devine Speaker. Last time we met this guy, his name was Fawn, and apparently he's Snow White, as he believes he can talk to animals, and he lives outside of the city. Anyway, let's continue.
Then I really am the only person you've seen out here. You've been alone since you were a child?
Yes. I'm sorry I ran from you. I didn't know what to do when I saw you at the river. And it takes me a bit to think through what I'm saying in my head. I'm not used to talking to other people.
That's so valid, 'cause same. I looked at the floor in embarrassment when I remember I jumped on him, wet and nearly naked.
In the forest, I saw an arm. A dead body. I had to wash it off of myself.
I glanced back at Fawn.
I spent the night running and then slept under a tree. I have absolutely no clue where I am. I don't know how you can live here. It's terrifying.
I stayed silent for a few seconds. I guess he was thinking through what he was gonna say.
I can see why you would think that. The forest around here is dangerous, but
He stopped for a moment.
it can be beautiful too. The beauty is hiding danger, but the danger is also hiding beauty.
I stared at him. Earlier, I did think it was beautiful for a while. Maybe he's right. Still, I would much rather be back in Aurelia Cavella.
I see what you mean, but I'm not looking forward to spending another night out there. I wish there was somewhere else to go.
Fawn tilted his head.
There's a bunch of places you could go. Oxaber, Stagwitch, Duskmoor, Sidcaeum, Duick. They're all pretty close to here. The last time I checked anyway.
What did I say about the movie? My ears perked up at one of the things Fawn said.
Sidcaeum? What is that?
It's the... what do you call it? The capital?
The capital? The capital of what?
Of the region, I suppose.
Honestly, I had no clue what he was blathering on about. Capital of the region. What region? Outside, the sun was slowly disappearing. The night was filling up with stars. I stared outside for a moment, dreading going back. Last night it was terrifying, but what choice do I have?
I guess I better head off now, before it gets too dark to see where I'm going. Thank you for the food and water. I don't know what I would have done without you there.
I got up slowly and made my way toward the ladder.
Wait!
My hand was nearly clasped from behind, before I could start climbing down.
Why don't you stay here tonight?
Really? Would that be okay?
Yeah, my bed's only small, but I can sleep on the floor tonight.
Oh, no, I couldn't. You take the bed. I'm happy to sleep on the floor. It's much better than outside like last night.
Really, I don't mind.
We both looked at each other for a moment before breaking out in laughter. This go back and forth forever with the two of us.
How about we just share the bed then? I think we'd both fit.
Fawn lit up again, as red as a rose.
I've never...
He glanced around, not making eye contact with me, fidgeting and playing with his clothes.
shared a bed with anyone before.
Was it something to be embarrassed about? Oh, maybe he's worried that I'll push him out of the bed?
Don't worry. I'll make sure not to take up too much room. I grew up in an orphanage, so I'm used to sharing beds and stuff.
At the word orphanage, he stopped and looked into my eyes.
You didn't know your parents?
No. Did you?
He looked away again.
No.
He didn't look like he wanted to talk about it, so I didn't press him.
I'm not mad at my parents or anything, though. I had a good family at the orphanage. The judgment I received wasn't particularly good, so that's probably why it happened.
Judgment?
We both shared another confused look. Had being out here alone really made him forget the most simple things?
Yeah, you know. The judgment you receive the day you're born from the Devine Speaker. My fate wasn't very impressive, apparently.
You learn your fate the day you're born?
Of course. Everyone does.
They don't do that where I'm from.
Yeah, definitely a little confused.
If you're not tired, there's something I'd like to show you.
I'm feeling a little tired, honestly. But if he's letting me stay here tonight, then I don't mind following him around for a little while.
Sure. I'm not tired anyway.
Liar. His face lit up with a wide, innocent smile, filled with excitement.
It's not that far from here. Follow me.
Fawn basically bounced out of the room, down the ladder, and onto the forest floor. I followed after him, not quite sure where this was headed. I followed Fawn for a few minutes before he stopped in his tracks and peered out between the trees.
We're here. Follow me carefully.
He started climbing down the shallow slope with ease. I watched him for a moment, but came to the conclusion that it didn't look too difficult. Apparently I was very wrong. Ground slipped out from under me, rocks falling down the slope. Before I could slip, Fawn reached out and grabbed my hand.
Careful! It can be a little slippery here. Keep holding my hand, and we'll go down together.
I watched the ground more carefully this time, embarrassed that I slipped up after he warned me. With Fawn's hand strong against mine, we descended slowly, and we eventually got to the bottom of the steep slope.
It's here. Look.
He parted the last of the tree branches that stood in our way. Fireflies? No, the sky. The scene before me was right out of a fairy tale. A large lake was spread out in front of my eyes. The night sky brimming with stars as far as the eye could see. In the darkness of the night, the lake became a mirror. I reflected those stars right back at the sky, not to be outdone.
It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. Back home, I never would have known this existed.
A million worlds spun around in my head. A million words spun around in my head as well. I didn't know where to start. Who knew something like this could exist? I sat down with Fawn, entranced by the scene laid out before me.
I thought you might like it. You see, this lake's full of all kinds of fish. Mostly the kind that would like to eat you for dinner.
He giggled a little. A joy-filled smile returned to his face.
But that doesn't stop it from being beautiful. The world isn't just black and white. There's things in the middle, too.
Gray, buddy. It's called gray.
And I think this forest is one of those things. You didn't look very convinced earlier, so... I just wanted to show you that even a dangerous place like this can be somewhere you can call home. It's all about how you look at it, your perspective on things.
He quickly withdrew his hand from mine. I forgot he was even holding it.
This is a pretty big lake, though. It's strange that it's not on the map.
I haven't seen a map in a while, so I'm not sure.
He was crimson red from the top of his ears to his chin, like a tomato. Silently, we sat side by side. We watched the fish just below the surface. The stars that almost seemed to dance around us. Secretly, I watched Fawn's profile. The moon made his pale skin look even paler, as if he was glowing. I had a strange thought, but it was almost as if he was a part of the forest. He fit in perfectly. As much as the trees, the fish, the stars, he belonged. When he caught me staring, he looked away in embarrassment.
Anyway, let's head back now. It'll start to get cold soon.
Right. I'll try not to slip over this time.
As soon as we got back, a wave of exhaustion passed over me. Without delay, I started preparing for bed. Everything caught up to me at once. It really had been a long day. I rolled up my sleeve and looked again at the markings that ran down my arm. Suppose there's no point in hiding it from him, is there? He's bound to find out one way or another. I feel like I could trust him.
Hey, Fawn?
He looked over at me with sleepy eyes.
I wanted to show you something. Yesterday, when I was still in Aurelia Cavella, it suddenly appeared on my arm. It hurt, like it was being burnt into my skin.
I lifted up my arm and showed it to him.
I've seen this writing somewhere before.
With speed, he rushed to my side and grabbed my arm. He brought it close and examining my markings.
Before I was here, I've definitely seen this somewhere.
I watched him excitedly, but to no avail. No matter how hard he thought, it wasn't coming back to him.
I'm sorry. How did it happen?
I'm not sure. One minute I was in a crowd of people completely fine, and then I was suddenly in so much pain, I blacked out. And when I woke up, it was there. Maybe it's not important.
He watched me carefully, thinking.
It sounds important to me. I'll keep thinking about it. Maybe it'll come back to me in the morning, after we rest. Turn around while I get ready for bed.
Fawn got into the bed first and hid himself under the covers. I shuffled in next to him. With a tight squeeze, seeing as the bed was only made for a single person. But we had enough space to avoid touching. I scooted over further, giving him more room.
Why are you out here anyway?
Fawn glanced at me from over his shoulder, back still facing me.
They.
I tried to think up an excuse. Anything would do, really. But there wasn't any to give.
I got exiled. I went somewhere I shouldn't have gone. Honestly, I thought I'd be dead by now. We've always had it drilled into us that you can't survive out here. But for some reason, it's not quite as bad as I thought it would be.
Fawn smiled at me sleepily, before turning back over and drifting off to sleep. It didn't take long for me to follow after him.
Open your eyes.
Let me sleep, woman, goddamn!
Protect. Heal. Destiny. Open your eyes.
Open, open, open.
Open your eyes.
Why are you yelling at me? Woke up at the start, sweating and shaking. My heart was beating hard in my chest, the sound echoing through my head. I sat up with the speed of light jumping to his feet.
What is it?
It took a moment to calm down my breath, waiting for it to return to normal.
No, nothing. I just had a weird dream. I keep having the same one.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were dying or we were being attacked or something. But
Sorry.
what happened in your dreams to scare you so much?
Horror was scary. Thought back over carefully. A booming voice, darkness all around me. Not exactly sure if it was scary to begin with. But every time they seemed to get more painful.
I don't really know. There's voices. Loud, powerful, booming voices.
Yelling at me.
They keep telling me something. To open my eyes about destiny.
Fawn stopped for a moment. Like he does occasionally when he's thinking about what to say.
Maybe it means something? It could be some kind of vision.
Vision? Things like that don't exist, though.
Really? I've heard there are some people with strange abilities. So, I don't see how having visions is much different.
But we've always been taught that... Just forget it. I'm sure they don't mean anything.
I'm sorry. You might be right. I was just thinking out loud.
You know, you don't need to apologize so much. especially not for talking. You didn't do anything wrong.
You're right. I'm sorry. I mean... Okay.
Fawn quickly busied himself, moving around the room and preparing food. Looked outside. The sun was starting to show in the distance, though it was still early. A light mist spread out through the trees. We ate more scavenged food and watched the sun as it rose above us. Something about it all seemed too normal, like I'd already spent a lifetime here. The events of a few nights ago seem so distant. All that exists now.
Rain, I was thinking. I know we've only just met.
Are we gonna be roommates?
Would you like to live with me? Here?
Seriously? You'd let me do that?
And they were roommates.
Well, I've just been here alone for a long time. I think if you left now, it would start to get a little lonely. I can teach you how to live here. Where to go, where not to go. I'm sorry if that's too forward. We've only just met after all. What am I thinking? Sorry.
Well, it's not like I have anywhere else to go. Like he said, he hasn't seen anyone else out here. We might as well stick together if he's offering. The only other option would be to wander around alone. I don't ever want to repeat a repeat of my first night out here, alone, cold, and scared. Plus, he has the kind of face that makes me want to look after him. Watching him babble like that is kind of endearing.
I would be very happy to stay here with you, if you'll have me.
Really? I was sure you'd say no.
His face brightened up instantly, a smile crossing his lips. He really does want me to stay.
Then how about I show you around a bit today? Only if you want to.
If I'm gonna live here, I'll have to learn my way around. Can't just trail after Fawn forever. He's doing me enough of a favor by letting me stay.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I like that.
I ate the last of the red berries whilst I got dressed, the sweet taste lingering on my tongue for a while afterward. I spent the day wandering around the forest while Fawn gave me the lay of the land. He showed me a few landmarks I could use to get back to the house if I ever got lost. I quickly learned which berries were safe to pick, and which could poison you just by touching them. He said there's a lot of deadly plants around, so it's best to ask if I'm not sure. It was like he knew everything. I suppose when you only have yourself to depend on, you become a walking encyclopedia. His eyes lit up as he explained topic after topic. It was like he really enjoyed having someone to talk to. It's actually a little sad that he's been alone all these years.
Oh, I kind of forgot about it before, but do you ever cook anything? I notice you've only eaten vegetables and fruits.
Cook anything?
Yeah, like on a stove. Or maybe you just use a fire. I'm actually pretty good at cooking.
No, I don't usually. Fire is... No, I usually just eat fresh food.
I get it.
Huh, I see. Well, I'd love the chance to cook for you at some point.
The sun was high overhead, swimming in the vast blue sky. There wasn't a cloud in sight. It still felt cool as a soft breeze washed over us. We spent the day so far wandering from place to place, exploring and talking. Aurelia Cavella felt like so long ago already. Honestly, it was fun. It just felt light for the first time in days. It was like hanging out with a friend. It felt normal. Slowly, with all the time in the world, we'd been collecting atoms from the riverbank. We'd met at just yesterday. Warm blanket, slightly damp, but Fawn assures me that it's still usable. A vase, a handle off a door.
Where does all this stuff come from, anyway?
I last told Fawn. We were struggling with the amount of random objects in his arms. He'd drop something, go to pick it up, and drop 5 more things in the process.
Give me some of those.
Thank you. As for where it all comes from...
He looked down the distance, quiet for a moment.
I think this river connects to a large town, not far from here. I guess they must dump things into the river, and they come downstream and get caught on the banks. Giving them another use is better than letting them sit here. It makes me sad to see the wilderness so full of trash.
Well, we do have a river running through town. I've never seen anyone dump anything in it, though.
There's just so much here. It's hard to believe it's all just dumped.
It could be a different town. I've never been there, so I'm not sure.
There he goes again.
What do you mean? It could only be Aurelia Cavella.
But there's a few other places nearby, too.
Are you sure you aren't a little confused? Where else would there be? It's just the forest. I don't think there would be a lot of others like you living out here.
But that's not...
Before Fawn could respond, we heard a low growl come from the bushes to the left of us. Didn't even have time to think. Neither of us had a chance to react before the animal bounded out of the grass straight toward me.
Watch out!
It was a tougher impact, but it never came. Instead, I was shoved and fell to the ground. From the ground, I finally got a good look at the thing that was slowly circling around Fawn. It was small and gray, teeth bared in a snarl. No, it's a danger dog! It's a wolf. Must be young by the size of it. His dark eyes were set on Fawn, unmoving. Before he could get to me, Fawn pushed me out of the way and took my place. What was he thinking? This is dangerous. Once we're back at the first animal not backing down, he slowly took small steps away from the animal, careful not to show his back.
Rain, just get up slowly and sneak away. I'll deal with this.
The hesitation was gone from his voice. Jittery, nervous Fawn I had gotten used to was nowhere in sight.
Leave! We aren't scared of you!
In large motions, he waved his arms and shouted. He was either trying to scare it or distract it long enough for me to get away.
Rain, quickly!
His voice was quiet but powerful, commanding. Making sure not to make too sudden of a movement, I crept up from my place in the rocky ground, shuffling away from both Fawn and the wolf. My heart was beating a million miles a second. I could hear the pounding in my ears and feel it throughout my whole body. Please, Lord, let them not hear it too. Fawn glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, while not turning away from the
Go
wolf.
back to the house. I'll leave after you.
I can't leave you here! You could...
The boat started and was over in the blink of an eye. The wolf jumped straight at Fawn's face. Swiftly, he raised his arms to shield himself and ducked to the ground. When the wolf was directly over his head, he lifted his arms just enough to touch it and threw it into the river. The wolf crashed into the water, splashing about and whining loudly.
Quick, now!
Both picked up the pace, running away from the river as fast as possible. Fawn grabbed my arm and pulled me along in a vice-like grip. Behind us, all he could hear was furious splashing.
I thought we were meant to go slowly!
There's no time. Just go!
Fawn nearly pushed me up the rope, hurrying me into his house. As soon as he reached the top, he pulled it up after us. I collapsed to the floor in a heap, panting. Fawn did the same.
What? What just happened?
I don't know. They've never been aggressive towards me before. We're friends.
Oh, buddy.
Or at least, I thought we were. He usually listens to me. I feed him when I can.
My breathing may have nearly returned to normal, but my heartbeat was nowhere close. I looked toward Fawn. Something red was dripping out onto the wooden floor.
What? You're hurt!
With a downcast expression, he rolled up his sleeves and expanded his arm. Long red lines of blood dripped down and splattered against the floorboards, standing out as clear as day. He hid it behind his back like a child with something they shouldn't have.
We have to bandage it or something.
I know a little bit of first aid, enough to help look after the kids at home. But is it enough for this? He had piles and piles of red bits of cloth around in the room. But every time I tried to pick one up...
Wait, not that one. I just found that the other day.
Fine. If you really won't let me bandage it, then at least let me look at your arm.
I didn't wait for his objections. He turned his arm to face me. I think the blood made it look a lot worse than it was, but it still looked quite painful. I reached out and took hold of it.
You could have been killed. You need to be more...
Lies. You have been lied to. Protect him. Destiny, open your arms. Take his pain.
Where? Where am I? That voice boomed through my ears. I couldn't see anything. Just me, the darkness, and that voice. In the distance, I could see a light, bright like the sun on an early summer's day. I reached out toward it, my fingertips barely pushing against the cold radiance.
Rain, what's wrong?
I opened my eyes, I hadn't moved at all. I was still in Fawn's house holding onto his arm. My fingertips touched Fawn, my vision went black. What happened? Darkness was gone. So was the voice. Everything was back to normal. Before I could open my mouth, a bright light flashed out between Fawn's arm and my hand. Pain started at my fingertips and traveled upward all through my arm, an agonizing burning pain not unlike that day. For my eyes, the wound on Fawn's arm stitched back together, until all that was left was a line of dried blood.
Huh?
My arm began to ache in response. When I rolled up my sleeve to look, my jaw nearly hit the ground.
What is this?
It hurts. Blood started to run down my arm and drip onto Fawn's wooden floor. Just like his did only a moment ago. It really hurt. Is this what Fawn felt? The same gash that was on Fawn's arm was now on mine. I locked eyes with Fawn. He looked just as confused as I did.
Huh? What did you just do?
That wasn't you?
He shook his head lightly, eyes wide. My mouth hung open in shock. I have absolutely no clue what just happened.
I don't know. I've never... This has never happened before. It's like
It's like you healed me, but now you have it instead. So I guess it's more like you took on my injury in my stead.
Something like that.
What?
Real life magical girl over here.
Just then?
Everything you do in life has an equal reaction and consequence. So...
Ouch. You didn't tell me it hurt this much.
He really was hiding how painful it was.
When I touched you, I heard the same voices that have been in my dreams lately. But this time, they were clearer. They told me it was my job to protect you. That I'd been lied to. Something about destiny. But my destiny...
I thought back to the judgment I received 18 years ago. A fate that controlled my whole life until now. And will continue to do so for the rest of my life. Judgment that I was reminded of at every opportunity. Even if I succeeded, I was pushed back down. After all, what could a useless boy with useless judgment do in life? It's not something I want to talk about. Not yet.
The judgment I was given when I was born, it was nothing like this. What could this even mean?
Fawn stopped again, thinking.
But destiny is what you make of it, right? If you just live your life to what someone told you so long ago, you'll never get anywhere. It's not like you don't have the power to change it.
The destinies we receive are never wrong, though. The speaker is never wrong.
I looked down at the cut on my arm again. My destiny couldn't be wrong. I still remembered the morning I woke up in the forest. The flowers that hadn't been there the night before. Did I have something to do with that? Maybe Fawn is onto something. Maybe not, I don't know. Despite his temperament, I could not read. Wow! I was like, what is this word? Fawn really has a way with words. I think I almost believe in what he's saying.
I guess I better bandage this after all.
Yeah. let me help you.
Even though he refused a moment ago, he quickly wrapped my arm up, not missing a beat. No matter how closely I looked at my wound, it didn't go anywhere. It was really there. That really just happened. It could be an amazing gift, but I couldn't help but think about how dangerous it could be too. And how come this never happened before? How could something like this happen out of nowhere? What triggered it?
Oh, Fawn?
He jumped, surprised when I called out to him suddenly.
You were really cool back there, though. I really felt like I could depend on you.
His face flared up again, as red as a rose.
Who knew you could be so dashing?
After everything that happened, it was finally starting to get dark out. The sun was setting over the horizon, leaving the forest cold and quiet.
Actually, there's one other place I'd like to show you today.
Is that a good idea? Do you think the wolf is gone?
Yeah. We'll be going the opposite direction, so... I wasn't actually going to show you this, in case it frightened you, but I feel like I should. It's the right thing to do.
Fear and concern are the only things I'm feeling. I finished wrapping my injury into makeshift bandages and pulled my sleeve down. What does he mean, in case it frightened me?
What is it?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but I think you've already seen the effects of it. If your arm isn't hurting too badly, will you come with me? I know how much it hurts, so you don't have to force yourself.
He doesn't usually look so serious, and his words are making me a little nervous, especially after what happened earlier. But I guess after his performance before, I feel like I could depend on him if anything goes wrong. Plus, I've got to show him I could protect him, too.
Yeah, sure.
I followed Fawn down the ladder and through the growing darkness. And with that, I'm going to end this episode here. We'll see what happens next. As one does. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully, I will see you later.